Huh?
Oh, so are you doing the countdown?
No, I'm not doing the countdown. We're just going straight into it. I need to make sure it's the buyer's journey, right?
Yeah.
Okay. And Kels, I saw your link tree.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
it's kind of jacked up from what I heard, but we're working on something totally different. So, yeah.
okay? But you still have the website. It's the Cultural Marauders.
Yeah, the Culture Marauders, the website, people can still go to it, but it's under construction. So, like I said,
Okay.
like a whole new thing coming. And we talked about that a little bit. So yeah,
Okay.
we're working on that now.
So, what is a good place for people to reach you? Is it the IG or is it
It's
Twitter?
Instagram and Instagram, Facebook, and also our actual email, theculturemarauders@gmail.com.
Okay. And Facebook. Cool beans. Oh, y'all in here early. Hey, Jocelyn.
Are they already here?
Yeah. Hey, Rachel. How y'all doing? So today, Kayla and I are joined by Kels from the Culture Marauders. Welcome.
Hey, what's up, y'all?
So we had, it was, for me, that was a great recording. It was a really good episode. Oh, it's just following. Okay. Hey, Janai, how you doing? Before we hop into it, can you tell my audience a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, sure. So, hey, it's your boy, your friendly neighborhood Kels, Curtis Kelly, stopping through again. Just want to say what's up, and I appreciate you ladies having me on the show. So the Culture Marauders, we are a podcast in our current form. We maraud on all culture and deliver the goods to the masses, aka y'all, the listeners out there. And no subject is off, or no topic is is taboo. We talk about a little bit of everything, and when I say that, I mean that's. A whole litany of things. Anything and everything you can talk about, we're exploring it. We want to dissect it. We want to have that conversation and break it down in, where it's digestible to the listener. So that's what we do.
That's really cool. I listened to I'm working my way backwards. And
Okay.
So I heard the one with you, your son, and his friend.
Yeah.
And I thought that was really cool. I was like, oh, I didn't think they would be that active on the, in talking. Because sometimes talking to teenagers, they don't really have much to say, but right. Yeah.
I had to coach him. My son the first one we did, and you'll see if as you're going backwards, he was a little shy. We did you'll get to that one. It was the wraps. Me and him broke down and dissected some wrap snacks flavors, and they were terrible. Just I don't want to play spoiler, but there it is.
Okay, cool. What did you say, Kayla?
What made you come up with the name, like your podcast name?
So I like to talk, right? And I told Leah that, but basically you're looking at the two things right here, right? So Tribe Called Quest, Midnight Marauders, that is one of my favorite albums of all time, if not my favorite. And so I like discovering and learning about and talking about culture, so I combine the two, and therefore we got the Culture Marauders right above it. So
that's right. Just like that. We have some more people joining in the chat. Hey, Lenora, greetings to you. Rachel says, "What up, Kels?
What up?"
We have Drake.
Right.
Oh, wait, no. Rachel says Drake. Oh, Drake is here. Hey, Drake. Let's see. Oh, Rachel says the rap snacks are good. Some of them. I don't know if I want to try them though.
Rachel, I'm sorry. You're probably a nice person, but the rap snacks are straight trash. Hey, I tried to like him, right? I tried to give him a good push because I think Master P is the one that reintroduced him, right?
Mm-hmm.
I tried to like him. You'll see. Like, that's just my take, though. Even my son thought they were terrible, and they were stale. So I'm just not feeling them.
Maybe you got a bad batch.
All 6 of them.
They were all in the same batch. It's the same thing.
I'm not gonna front. I did buy them from Spencer's, so that might play a little bit into why they were kind of like stale and I don't know.
So you got the ones that fell off the back of the truck.
Yes, probably so. Thinking back, okay. That's exactly probably what happened.
Heck no.
Okay. You might have to go back and try it again. Rachel wants to know, which ones did you try?
Oh man, we tried the it was like the Trina ones. It was like some kind of honeydew melon. We tried the hot sauce ones. Actually, 2 of them weren't bad. We actually broke them down and did ratings, but both of Trina's flavors were terrible. The Migos flavor wasn't bad, but it was really stale. And then who else? Lil Yachty, I think he had like some hot sauce stuff. I don't even know half these rappers besides like Trina and Migos, but the rest were just, yeah. I wouldn't even feed those to inmates. I'll put it like that. I wouldn't even give it to them. You know?
Oh my gosh.
So, unless they want to sponsor me, you know what? All right, Rap Snacks. I'm sorry, I'll take it back. If you want to sponsor me, but if not, y'all gotta do that.
We can try to sponsor deal, maybe. We can try to. They're gonna dig up this video and be like, "Remember when you said no?"
I know, right? Then I gotta.
No. Wait, what? No.
I was talking about the other guys.
It's like, yeah, there was a whole thing. Yeah, no. Oh, hey, Dad's here. It looks. Jocelyn asked, but have y'all had the noodles though?
Oh, sweet Jesus! They even made noodles.
I didn't even know this was a thing.
They couldn't even make the chips right. Why would you advance to something? Man, nah.
Because you add your own seasoning, I guess. I don't know.
It's like ramen noodles, right? You take the seasoning, just take the noodles and add the seasoning.
Yeah, put the bouillon in it, and it tastes like whatever's in the package, salt and hopelessness. Yeah.
It tastes like high blood pressure in a little pouch.
Yeah, that's what. No, can't do it. Can't do it. For those of you who are here, make sure that you follow the Culture Marauders on Facebook and Instagram. Currently, the website is under construction, but it will be back shortly.
That's right.
Also, as always, make sure that you follow Kayla on Instagram. She has her page where her and Daniel and Dylan are learning about how to communicate in life. Daniel is autistic and they learn how to communicate with different ways. I think the newest side that he learned is want, and it's really cool. She posts all the pictures and videos of him learning how to do things. The latest video was him learning how to put a fitted sheet on a bed without getting frustrated. And that was a major, major win. And if you haven't already, just go by and just show that page some love. Kayla is doing amazing.
Good job.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
So for the questions, wait, we have more questions. Oh, Drake just says you gotta keep trying them. It's like no, I don't want to keep trying.
What, those chips? We're still on this?
Yeah. Yeah.
You gotta know when to quit, right?
Know when to say when. Yeah, no. Okay, so in our episode, we talked about like looking at the big picture, November 4th. What are we doing, right? What is our plan? What is our goal? And one of the things that came out of that conversation was the conversations that you've had with your son, who's a teenager, and he's biracial, right?
Yes.
Okay, yeah. So, and then the conversations you have with your 2 younger children about how the world may see them and how to kind of prepare for them. Yeah. So, or prepare them for that. So, our first question of the night is: how do you talk to your children or children you care for? Because I don't have kids, but I do have kids that I do care for. About racism. Kayla, you didn't get to give your input yet, and you have 2 young boys. So even though they're not at the age to understand it yet, how would you talk to them about racism?
I more so give them the reality of it. Not, I'll be okay with them understand like the textbook of it, like the history and all of that, but actually giving them examples, because growing up for me, I've heard about it, but I was never given like the reality of it. Like, this is what racism looks like. It was more so just I just learned the history about it. I will also be more in depth with how to respond, because I feel like a lot of times we don't see what's the correct way to respond, or not the correct way, but how we should, because every action has a reaction. And so my boys are young. Yes, they're young right now, but I definitely have to set that tone to let them know, like, hey, some people are simply just not going to like you just by your color of your skin. And no, that's not okay. but don't let that affect you. Just keep on about your business, move on day to day. That's what I would definitely want to teach them, because growing up for me, I guess we were on the same household, but growing up for me, I didn't learn about racism, and I never experienced it until I had my second job, where a customer was just like, "Oh, you don't want to help me because I'm white." And I'm like, that's not the case. I help everybody. You were over here doing your own thing. So how was I supposed to know I was supposed to help you? But that was my first time ever experiencing racism. And the only thing I really known about racism was just that the whites don't like the blacks. So I never actually seen firsthand what it looks like. And for me, it made me like get that shivering. I'm scared. I don't know how she's going to react. I don't know if she's going to come back. Do I have a target on my back? And that's when I finally realized that I've always had a target on my back because of the color of my skin. And when it comes to my boys, I'm like making sure just like keep on doing what you're doing and make sure it's not anything that's going to negatively affect you and negatively affect anybody else. But honestly, just keep on doing what you're doing. And I know that I'll raise them to the best of my ability.
Yeah, that's really all you can do.
Yeah.
Tamara's here. Hey, Tam. So Kels, you talked a little bit on the episode about an incident where your son was playing football. If you don't mind telling the story again for those who have yet to see it.
Yeah, so my son, he goes to school up in Maryland, and up that way it's of course a little different. But when he was there, he was one of the only black kids on the team, on the football team, and he was doing a play, and I think he scored a touchdown if I remember all right, or something like that. But his coach referred to him as Black Beauty. He goes, "Oh, my Black Beauty out there," and and he told me that, and he was proud because he had a nickname and all that stuff, and that sounds great and all when you're a child, but as a parent, that's a no-go. And so I talked to him about it. I was like, Black Beauty. I said, well, why would they refer to you as Black Beauty? And he goes, oh, and I was running, and I said, well, that's not right. I said that you shouldn't be identified by the color of your skin. You should be identified by your skill, right? And so they don't have you don't hear Peyton Manning or Aaron Rodgers, Tom Brady. You don't hear them being identified by their name, by white goat or something like. You don't hear stuff like that with different races. So
right,
it definitely shouldn't be okay. Definitely shouldn't be okay. With people of color, and it's football and everything. And at first I thought was I overreacting, but I'm like no, I wasn't, because if you let it be okay now, what else? Or what else will he be called later on in the future? So you just have to identify that, talk to his mother about it, and the coaches and stuff like that. And it wasn't an issue, but it just especially with him being biracial, you have to also remind him, like, hey man, there's another side of the coin to your identity in your life, and you have to know that, and you have to understand that there's some things that come with that, as far as people identify you by color or just racial profiling and things like that. And he's older now, of course. He's a sophomore, but this is an 8th grade incident. He's older now, and we have these talks and stuff. He's about to turn 16 at the end of the month, but we have these talks, and I think he's a little bit more cognizant of what's going on around him. But at the end of the day, he's still a 16-year-old kid. He still likes to go around and have fun and do all those things and stuff like that. But just planting those little seeds throughout. Like, hey man, now that you're gonna be driving here soon, some things you need to kind of consider, if you get pulled over and stuff like that. So, he may get tired of hearing it, but I'm gonna keep kicking it to him, because I hate to get that phone call, so he's gonna listen to it. So.
Yeah. That, I think that's really important to have those conversations with them while they're young. Janai says, I think you handled it well, so at least he's aware of it now. Which is important, like you said, because if you let this one thing slide,
yes,
when things start to get extremely overt,
right.
But these are the things, like how do I maneuver? I think that for us, we grew up in the Bay Area, where it's a little bit of everybody.
Yes.
So it's not necessarily overt racism that you would experience in like the deep South where they still like, or even in some parts of the Northeast Northeast where not to go to the side of town. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, but because of that, we were kind of sheltered from experiencing the overt type of racism. So, but we experienced like the really covert, you don't realize it was like very passive, very, very passive. Where it may not be that, somebody straight up called you the N-word. It may be you didn't get the job because you came in, you were Black, they did your interview short, didn't want to talk to you because of the color of your skin. Or educationally, you're not able to progress as far. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I think that talking about the different levels of racism, as the child understands more, I would just want to impart that a little bit more to them so that they understand. Like I know, I told you about my niece, where her classmate told her straight up, like, and she was 5, like, I don't like Black people. And I was just like, what? But yeah, it's something that's taught. And so just like they're still, because the people who enslaved people of African descent did not just die off and walk off to the ends of the earth. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they had kids and they taught their kids exactly what they did. And so just like they're doing that to their kids, we have to make sure that we're really teaching our kids, like, hey, this is how they see you. You don't have to switch up to appease or to placate or anything like that, but you need to be aware. What is it? Oh, that says interesting, bring awareness, sharing information. Oh, thank you. Appreciate it. Janae says, to answer your questions, it's important to be real with your kids. It's also important to teach self-identity and self-love. That is very true. That's one of the things that Kels and I actually talked about in an episode about a certain individual that I don't want to get my blood pressure up about. There's just so many people who just hate themselves, and they show it by their lack of support and almost hatred toward people who look like them. And it's just frustrating.
I know.
It's frustrating. Moving on.
Really?
Because I don't want to talk about her right now. Okay. So
really.
So Kels, you were in the military previously,
right?
Did you learn about racism before you got to the military, or was it something that you learned like as you got to travel?
I grew up a military brat. My father was in the military, so
okay.
For me, I didn't really experience any of that because every place we moved, it was pretty diverse for the most part. I've lived in Las Vegas as a child, and there's some sides. North Las Vegas was predominantly Black at the time. I'm from Omaha, Nebraska, so that's home. Just moving around, and I think the first time I realized that racism was out there, it was 1989 when I moved to Abilene, Texas. My father was stationed there, and that's West Texas. And so you got a country flavor out that way, but you had a military installation. So on base, it was just like, everybody was integrated and hanging out, and, neighborhood kids, we'd be outside playing, chasing each other and having a good time and knocking on each other's doors. You go inside, eat, hang out. But when you go to school off base, that's when you started getting confronted with the local kids and stuff like that. A lot of cowboys and, that type of mindset. So, for the most part, we were still cool, but that was the first time. And that kind of hurt because, well, why am I so different from you? That's the thing I thought, and you go around, you try to be a good person, but like you said, Kayla, like no matter what, some people just aren't gonna like you, and that's okay. But let it be for a legit reason, not just for something that you can't help,
right?
And it's just so that was the first time I was exposed to it, and off and on here and throughout. I've lived in Japan, never really had a problem in Japan. Germany didn't really have a problem. I know living in North Carolina, here and there. But most of all, my experience in North Carolina was really good. I'm trying to think where else. Yeah, that was about it. I never really experienced it too much until you see some things down here in Florida. Tampa's a great city, but it is still kind of stuck in that weird purgatory of like, okay, we're modern and no, we're still holding on to these old Southern values. There is a Confederate flag flying off one of the highways, and going into South Carolina, I was driving up to pick up my son back in June. You're greeted by a big old Confederate flag as soon as you come across the border. So it's just, it's still there. Fortunately, I carry myself, appropriately. I'm respectful if I am approached by the police, and I think that helps. Yeah, that's pretty much my experience growing up.
KK?
For me, it was pretty much in school before they changed everything, or as they're changing everything. Also, with my dad, taught me a lot about racism. And I said it before, it wasn't until I started working when I experienced it myself. But when I actually learned about it was, I didn't watch Roots, but I remember watching the episode of the TV show called All of Us. And they had an episode where the little boy said the N-word, and he didn't understand why he was in trouble. And they gave a breakdown on that, and I was like maybe 9 or 10, and that pretty much stuck with me. And that's kind of when I learned about it, and then I started doing a little research on my own, like what exactly is racism and why is it still an ongoing thing.
Okay. Janae from the comments. She says, I think my earliest memory of racism was when Dad had us watch the Tiger Woods documentary and seeing him in the bathroom as a kid with a busted lip because they didn't like that he was Black. Okay. My first actual experience, it was in high school. I've also experienced it in the military. She's in the Air Force.
Okay.
I was told that it's unfortunate the Black community doesn't have any role models to look up to. I remember you telling me somebody said that.
Wait, they said that to her?
They were in conversation. And Janae, correct me if I'm wrong. They were in conversation. I think Janae was one of the only Black people in the room. And they were having a general conversation and they just thought that this was okay to say. And Janae was like, excuse me, what? Because they're not in the Black community. The person who said that.
Yeah. Wow. That's
yeah.
Crazy. What years did this person serve?
She's still in. She's 10 years in.
Oh, wow. So, man, I mean.
This only happened maybe a couple years back.
No President Obama, no Colin Powell, no Congress.
Right?
No, I thought I was the only one that saw him.
I think we're by ourselves. They didn't know who the president was before the president we have now. Let's see. Drake says my earliest memory was being called the N-word in 3rd grade, and a teacher didn't punish the other kid.
Well, I would have took care of that for the teacher. And
don't worry about it. Don't worry about it.
No, we got this one. We got it.
Janae. Nope. Janae says this happened last year.
Wow. Oh man. Wow.
Apparently, we don't have any. Yeah.
What
is crazy?
Yeah, I think that people tend to think, because I was in conversation with someone and she's older, and she had the mindset. Kayla, I'm putting you on mute because I think that's your phone. Okay, yeah, it stopped. Okay. Oh no, Drake said I got in trouble for punching him.
Oh, okay. Well,
so you got in trouble, but you handled it. Okay, I'd be okay with that. If I was your parent, yes, I would be okay with that. I'd take that L. So almost like so for me, my dad, my mom always made sure that we learned about racism, but we learned more so about the history of how we got here and how we got to where we are. And then, so like any movie, and I call them trauma movies, any movie, Amistad, Roots. I'm trying to think of all the ones. There's so many. 12 Years a Slave. Glory. Oh my gosh. Okay, so there's so many movies. So we watched like all of them. And in watching them, like it just kept getting like, but it was just like there was a balance of, okay, this is where we came from, but this is where we are, and this is like how far we have to go, and it's not that racism has gotten better because and I bring up the other lady that I was talking to because she was like, it's not bad as it was in the 60s. So we should be grateful for where we are now. And my thing was, it's not my issue with her statement was the lack of awareness that even though, thanks that Rosewood was a hard one to watch. Rosewood, Black Wall Street. Yeah, that was hard. That was hard to watch. He says, I'm saddened as hard as we tried to make you aware of racism. It's so open now, not hitting at all, but grateful this generations aren't going to turn the other cheek. Yeah, yes. So it's hard talking to the people of the generation before us because sometimes they'll say, well, you guys have it good now. And I've talked to a couple different people who have that statement where it's like, they say, well, in the 60s, we fought for this. And it's like, you fought for this in the 60s, we got this. They get just like with the Black Lives Matter movement. We're asking for indictments. We're asking for convictions. We're asking for justice. And it's like, paint a street, you know what I'm saying? Like, no, we're asking you to change the laws. Well, we'll give you a half day off for Juneteenth.
Oh, y'all get that? Man, we're fighting at our job right now.
We literally just got half a day off this year.
I'm gonna talk to you after this. I want to find out how you did that.
Okay, so it's crazy that people are saying that we've come so far, so we need to just stop. But now's really not the time. Now's really not the time to stop. Now's the time to like really like, okay, we have the opportunity for change. And it's not about just like voting for this person or voting for this person. It's about really putting it into the minds of the people who look like us, people who think like us, people who want to see us progress and have that same goal in mind to get them into those positions. So we don't have to worry about paying different politicians to be on our side. We can actually have somebody come up from us and go out and do the thing that we need for us. So, so I just think that it's wild that, as far as we've come, we still have such a far way to go. Oh, there's a lot of comments. Okay. Drake says, oh, this is about punching the kid. I handled it to an extent because he still felt it was allowed from an adult authority figure. Yeah, that's true. But he wasn't going to call you that no more unless he wanted to catch them hands. Let's see. It's not open on front row now. Public lynching. That's true. It's that we had eight lynchings in like 2 weeks across the states? Ridiculous. Yeah. Like these kids, they're like, oh, commit suicide. They did not commit suicide. You guys, they're gonna go out to a school, really? We're not asking for revenge, just fair treatment. It's crazy. We're just like asking for equity means that they have to give up something, and they don't want to give up anything.
No.
Drake says, if you stick a knife in my back 9 inches and pull it out 6, that's not progress. If you pull it out all the way, that's not progress. Progress is healing the wound that the blow made. That haven't. I knew I heard this quote before. They haven't pulled the knife out, and they won't even admit that it's there. That is so true. Malcolm X said that.
Malcolm, that's right.
Yeah. That says Black Panthers taught and show no fear, but because there's a strong stand, laws were changed right away. It's crazy. And I said this before, and it's the saddest thing. There was another guy I was talking to, and he was only in his 20s. He made the statement that you will only see things change if white kids are affected by it.
Yes.
If they start getting affected by it, then now it's time to change. And we see that happening with the methamphetamines. And because when it was a crack situation, it's a crack problem. But no, now it's an epidemic. Like, oh snap, we need to actually fix the number of people that we have, ODing on these drugs or whatever.
Yeah.
Oh, Ma's here. Hey, Ma. Tamara says, I learned about it when someone tried to run me off the road when a lady called me the N-word at the gas station. Run you off the road? What? When was this?
Man.
See, I tell y'all what. Black men that fight back or stand up. We were the angry black men. There was I forgot the quote, but it's like it's similar to saying being cautious or being conscious and aware of what's going on in your community is to be enraged at all times. And it's like you can really, sometimes it's just easier. I don't want to know nothing. Let me be happy and stupid. But when you start to
blitz, right?
Yeah, that's what you think until you get blindsided by something. So what role would you play in your community to move toward a better life? So in our episode, we talked a lot about the importance of grassroots. We talked about the importance of starting at home. We talked about the importance of making sure you yourself, and I know Janai talked about it a little bit earlier. It's your identity, how you identify and what you want to gain moving forward, and then aligning yourself with people who are moving in that direction. So what role do you see yourself playing in the community? Because everybody can't go out and march, everybody can't sign petitions, everybody can't run for office.
Right.
So what roles do we see ourselves playing? I'm gonna go to Caleb first.
For me, my main role is to start home, teaching my sons first before I can go out and teach anybody else. Because I feel like who am I to say that I can go out and teach somebody else or have that role in the community, and at home is chaos. So my main role is definitely myself, of course, but also my sons. That would be my role. Because I kid you not, I'm totally honest. I can support from afar. I can't be out in the protest, but definitely rest assured, I will definitely be supportive. But I won't be on the front lines, to be totally honest with you. So for me, it has to start home for me.
Okay.
Kels?
It starts with self for me. You have to, put in the work yourself. You have to educate yourself first before I can even think to educate my children, So with me, it starts also with what am I doing, out in the community. And so for me, I'm the co-chair for for community outreach it's a business resource group called Beacon. It's for the African American affinity, the Black affinity at my job. Mm-hmm. And so, we're working on different things with the company to, not only recruit Black talent, but also retain Black talent, and then, and bring awareness to things that affect the Black community. One of the first things I had, the honor of being a part of was the raising of the Pan-African flag for the first time in our company, just this past February.
Wow.
And then also we're working on right now, we're very, very close to locking in having Martin Luther King Jr.'s MLK Day be recognized as a company holiday. This company's been in business since 1974, and it's never happened. So we are that close from a proposal, locking that in where that becomes a holiday for the company. And then I also asked you about Juneteenth because that was something else we were proposing, but still getting a little bit of pushback on it. But you know what? That's another battle. But, doing things like that, getting out, going to, schools, the underprivileged schools, talking to these kids in these neighborhoods, getting out there and just getting your face out there, showing them that there are successful people that look like us out there, people that care, people that give a damn, and we're going to invest that time into you. And so that starts with me. So I bring that home. and and I try to also impart that stuff that I'm learning and doing out in the community, impart that on my children. So they're getting out, they're volunteering. They don't have fear. They're out there with the eyes wide open, but they're not afraid. So that's how I'm doing it.
That's amazing. I think you're probably the first person who I've heard talk about the Pan-African flag at work.
Yeah.
That's wow. Okay. Janai says, spread love and be available to help people maintain a healthy mental state.
There you go.
That's what I'm talking about. My role is to do what I love and talk.
Yep.
But it's talking in a healthy way. So we have to deal with a lot of like nasty emotions, and especially in today's climate, things just don't really feel great. And if the debates are any indication of how these next 2 months are going to go, I just can't. I can't. Oh, I can't.
Let me say something real quick. I'm sorry for interrupting. So,
no, go ahead.
How many? I know both of y'all always wanted somebody to tell President Trump, "Shut up, man. Just shut up." Did it sound as good as you thought it would have sounded when Biden actually said it?
No, because to me, no, because it was not really like he was telling him to shut up. It was just out of frustration. He was, man, I am trying to get it. Just shut up for a minute.
Yeah, and to me, it almost did more harm than good for him, because it showed that you lose your cool.
He was able to break him.
Yeah, we were like 15, 20 minutes into the debate, and he cracked, and he showed that frustration. It's like, man, like he's probably gonna be the least that you're gonna have to worry about, if you become president, like stuff like that. If you're cracking under him, what are you gonna do with these other nations and stuff that's gonna test you and try? So that showed weakness. So it didn't go as well as I thought it would have in my head when I was like, yeah, and I was like, wait, he probably just lost the election just off that one move alone. Hopefully he can recoup. If he gets a chance to speak without being interrupted, hopefully he can recoup, but we'll see. It just wasn't a good look.
Keep up a lot.
You know what? And it's funny. When he said it, I was just like, I felt his frustration, but then I was like, but then I got upset because I was like, wait a minute, you're supposed to be able to have nerves of steel. You knew who you were going to talk to,
and you knew what he was going to do, because he didn't have a plan. All he was going to go in there is just be the Tasmanian devil, tear up everything, and he fell for it.
Because even after the responses of what do you say to people of color? What do you say to Black people? How are you going to deal with the issue of race? Not racism, but the issue of race. And Biden talked about what he wanted to implement, what he wanted to do, and all Trump was talking about, 94, this man did X. And I was just like, wait a minute. Yeah. We're allowing this. This is what we've come. How did we get here?
They got to start cutting off the mics on those dudes. Like when they start rambling and going crazy, you got to cut the mic off on them.
Yeah, because it's honestly, it is ridiculous. But even with this election, I still think my role is very much the same. Bringing awareness, talking to people, educating myself, because there's new information coming out every day. The same thing that we learned in elementary, high school about inferiority and our inability to be imaginative or to know things, like that conditioning that we went through in grade school, to now in college or in the real world, learning that, wait a minute, we come from what? Royalties in our bloodline. What? We built what? We invented this. We did what? We're this creative.
Yeah, and that's stuff they don't tell you. That's stuff they don't tell you, and I really think they need to work on the curriculum for that, because there's some truths out there that are being left out, and that's stuff that children need to know about. And generations who may not be aware of it, they need to know about this stuff. It's important.
Yeah, there's actually, if you haven't seen it, Debate This actually just released another round today, and the topic is ethnic studies should be taught in high school. Mm-hmm. And one of the arguments that I made was, I don't vote. I don't think that I would want someone who doesn't look like me teaching my history to my children.
Well, you know,
if they don't have the and it comes from the lack of connection, because when we have this in the current state of the world, we have teaching to the test.
Mm.
And I don't want my kids to be taught to a test their history.
Okay.
And so that's pretty much where I'm coming from. I mean, you know, the credentials and things like that. Yes, like any teacher can get the credentials, but to actually have the experience that we have to be able to speak to that. Yes, that's what it is, to teach not just Black studies, but ethnic studies.
Yes.
And so you know, you should check that out if you haven't already. It's on YouTube. But and then y'all in the comments, you know, do your thing. So we're about, okay. So we have a little bit more time. Do you have anything? Oh no, wait, hold on. That says racism isn't going away, but please, each one on the panel, vote. Encourage others to vote. Yes. Inform yourself.
Right.
Don't just go off of what the commentary is of some rando on Twitter.
Yeah, and it's important. It's important to know, to be informed when you vote. And that's another thing we're working on with this committee. We're working with the University of South Florida to hold a voting, kind of like a voting presentation on teaching, you know, informing the students on how to vote and your voting rights and stuff like that. So regardless of which way you vote, you know, I don't care. Just as long as you're informed when you go and vote. So,
right.
But on the other hand, you know, a conversation I've had with my wife, it's like, why? You know, and I shared this with you last time, because what's in it for us? Out of all the mumbo jumbo these clowns are talking on Tuesday night, what was it still, yet again, what was it that they were talking about for us?
Right.
Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And it's just, you know, my wife hit the nail right on the head. She said, right now, it's about who can be the loudest voice. Who can be the loudest voice and bang the stick the loudest to get everybody's attention. And that, you know, primarily is going to be, unfortunately, how it goes. But they got to come with something better, man. Like, I don't know. I mean, I told my wife, I said, I'd vote for the damn Kool-Aid man if he had a good platform. You know, but these two clowns, like, you know, Biden, he gets so off topic, right? And I was trying to defend him. I'm like, you know, but I'm like, man, this dude is bad. Like, you know, I get the stutter. I get the stuttering thing. But when you can't even remember the question and you're veering off like a whole different way, and then that doesn't show very strongly. And, you know, and Trump, it's just, he just wants to talk. Like, he just wants to disrupt everything and just talk. And even it's just nonsense. But yet he has a strong group of followers who will support him to the end. And yeah, I think we're in trouble. I think, you know, we're definitely in trouble. And somebody said, they posted it. They said, America needs to like act like this is a breakup and just be single for like 4 years.
Right. Just let us get our life together. Let the states figure it out. And then we'll come back together in 4 years and talk about it.
Yes.
Janai wants to know, so y'all voting for Kanye? Listen. Kanye.
Yeah.
Listen.
Who's not?
Oh gosh, Kanye. Oh, that's a whole thing.
Who's gonna be his running mate? Is it Candace Owens?
Oh, see, why? Why are we doing this? Well, you know what? I love you, Janai, but we can't have you comment up there anymore. No, but I do think that it's really important to make sure that you're informed, and then not just voting just for the presidential race, but every single local race you have, because you have judges who are enforcing these crazy laws that are keeping our men locked up for long periods of time. Not like the system is getting backed up, and we just have these judges, these attorneys, we have the district attorney, we have the judges, like your local government, your sheriff, you have midterms for your senators, for your congresspeople. Like, be informed when y'all go out and vote, and make sure you vote often.
Yes. You're
more likely to be called for jury duty, but at least you'll see a change in oh look, she's back. at least you'll see a change, hopefully, in your at least you'll see a change, hopefully, in your local community, and start from the grassroots up.
Yes.
Any parting words as we call this to a close?
Yeah, I want to put it out there. Another thing we talk about racism, right? But we also got to look at how we treat each other in the community, and I want to touch on colorism, right? Where we put each other down for the skin tone and light, dark, and all that stuff. We need to kind of check that too, because that's out there, and life is hard enough just being black as is. We don't need to be tearing each other down. We need to unite and build each other up versus tearing each other down.
I think it's true. Colorism is. I didn't think that colorism was that big of a deal until I got around, like when I think I was already in college, and I started hanging around people. Because some people were dark skinned, and they were making this whole thing. That's what it was. I started learning about the fraternities and like how different fraternities, sororities, they would assume what you're in based on the skin tone that you have. So they have like the fair skinned girls are in this fraternity and the dark skinned girls are in this fraternity. The dark skinned guys are over here and the light skinned guys are over there. And it's like, that's the real thing y'all doing out here? Like, y'all know we all black, right?
Pitting us against each other. It's wild.
Y'all know we black. We're the same.
Clearly not.
No, that's colorism is a real thing, and it really shouldn't be, but it is definitely a real thing that we deal with. And I think that from what I've seen from my siblings and their kids, they really, I like how we have more positive music now that, we listen to Melanin or you listening to Brown Skin Girl. We talk about things, school days. Thank you, Tamara. I can't remember what it was, but the Jigaboos and Wannabes. Yes. You talk about, but they talk to them and, let them know that, regardless of, your skin tone, regardless of what your hair looks like or whatever, you embrace all of it because it's beautiful and it's uniquely you. Going back to the voting question, Jocelyn asks, how do you tell someone who feels that they are not directly impacted by the government to vote? I have a lot to say, but I'll let y'all talk first.
Oh, man. That's a really good question. How do you tell someone who feels that they are not directly impacted by the government to vote? Well, I mean, look at your life.
I definitely know.
Look around you. I mean, it's yeah. I mean, but you can tell somebody all day until they're actually directly affected by it and feel that you can't. You can't force them to do it. You can't beat them over the head, because then eventually they're going to tune you out. So when you're dealing with people like that, it's just one of those things where they got to figure out on their own.
There was there's a guy who raps. There's a rapper who was on social media, and he did this video about what the local lawmakers and enforcers do. And I thought that summed up really well, because I was like, oh yeah, I almost forgot about that, because I did policy debate. And the people who enforce or even write the rules are the ones who you need to vote for. So if you are on government assistance, if you are if you're involved in a child support case, if you have to go to court for pretty much for anything, if you get food stamps, if you are on WIC, if your child gets lunch, if you have I'm trying to think of the other ones, your roads, your how much money the school gets, all of that stuff has to do with the government. They all those stuff, that's where your tax dollars go. So if you think about it this way, all the money they pull out for taxes go toward those things. That's what you should be voting for.
Yeah.
So everybody's directly affected by it, but we're so far removed from the presidency, we think our vote doesn't matter. But that's why it's important to also start locally.
Yes.
So yeah, Janai, just like Kel said, it does have to be an internal realization, but it's very true wherever, because if you're paying taxes, and most of us are, If you are paying taxes, that's why you have to vote, because your vote is going to be like, okay, so how much money can we give to these schools? How much money are people able to get through SNAP? If we have other social programs that we can allocate money to, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So that's what I would say. But I think that it's very true that it's not something that, because I can tell somebody all day about, being in a car accident, but they won't really know what it is until they've experienced it for themselves. Yeah. Anything else as we begin to wrap things up? KK, anything?
No, I'm good.
Oh, okay.
Yes,
Tamara says Yellow Pain, my boat don't on YouTube. Okay. Yellow Pain.
Got it.
That guy. Yes. Go to that guy.
Okay.
Again, thank you so much to our guest, Kels. Make sure you follow him on Facebook and Instagram at The Culture Marauders. His website is coming, so be on the lookout for that.
It does exist. It's coming. Trust me, it does exist.
Also, make sure you go to make sure you're on IG. You follow Kayla at The Buyer's Journey, and make sure, as always, you follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter at Take Space Pod. We also have a YouTube where you can see all the videos and see our lovely faces. Appreciate you. We're here every Thursday. Thank you so much again to Kels. We definitely appreciate you. Have a good night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.
Be safe, y'all.